being in an ecosystem where there is a lot of high quality individuals building valuable long-term projects has been one of the most impactful and rewarding things to be a part of.
Hey everyone, welcome to Blockchain North, Canada's first blockchain media. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Adit Patel, who is the co-founder and CEO of Blockscope, which is a Web3 data platform that empowers users to capture, analyze, and understand Web3 data in a useful way. It's probably the most important part. So nice to have you on the channel, Adit. Before I begin, if you enjoy these interviews and you want to support us, please give us a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. We have lots of great videos coming up. And make sure to stay till the end, as I'll be asking Adit for his predictions for 2023 and beyond. Well, Adit, welcome. Great to finally be doing this interview with you. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Flo. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're very, very welcome. So could you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got involved in the blockchain industry?
Yeah, so my name is Adit Patel. I'm one of the founders and CEO at Blockscope. My background is in software engineering. I've worked at companies like Microsoft building big data tools. And with blockchain being just a massive public data set, it was very interesting for myself and my co-founder to kind of play around with. And while playing around with it, we realized there's a lot of opportunity in the space for building data tools that make Web3 and blockchain technology more accessible to everyone. And we've been doing this for about a year and a half now.
Wow, so that's pretty recent, although I would argue that in the crypto space that's already a long time. So why don't you tell us a little? Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say a lot changes every few months in the crypto space.
It's absolutely, even every day, frankly, at this space. So can you tell us a little bit about Blockscope and what inspired you to start the company?
Yeah, so as I just mentioned, it really came from a personal need. My co-founder and I, we were building on-chain protocols, and we realized there were a lot of common things that there should be tools for in the space that currently don't exist. Something as simple as getting notified when money goes into your wallet or money leaves your wallet. It's crazy to think that this industry has existed for 10 years and there's not a simple solution for that. Or something as simple as a thing happens on the blockchain and you want to get notified so you have the insights to take some action that you need to, whether it's to protect yourself or gain some alpha for trading or anything like that. So yeah, going back, it all came from a personal need of, while building tools or while building protocols in this space, we realized there are a lot of gaps that need to be filled. And since our background was in the data space, from a professional few years of working at big tech companies, we realized we had the right skill set to build out these tools.
Yeah. And so these tools that you're speaking about are all about, being used. Of course, that's your primary objective, I'm sure. And blockchain is complex. So I guess you're trying to make the tools as user-friendly as possible for your target market. Could you speak a little bit about the challenges you may have faced along the way?
Yeah, exactly. So for anything to really take off, people really need to be able to use that piece of technology. And so people need usable tools. Now, for a tool to be usable, it needs to have great design. And then for something to be a great design, it needs to be simple. Simplifying complex things is one of the hardest tasks and a big challenge for our team. But we've got world-class product builders and we've come a long way. The way we go about simplifying complex things is by thinking about what are the most common use case scenarios in this space and really building tooling around that. So I briefly mentioned the example of wanting to get notified when funds move in or out of a wallet. Another common use case people have is wanting to trace where funds are going. So we built a tool where visually a user can start with a wallet, press a button and we can see, okay, the funds are going from this wallet to these wallets. And you could trace that all the way, to the destination or from the source of where the funds originated. And by providing these tools in a very thoughtful way around specific use case scenarios, we're able to empower regular users to get really advanced insights on what's happening into the blockchain space, um, which they would not get by using something like a regular explorer.
So what would you say are some of the, what has been basically the reaction from your clients so far after using the tools?
Yeah, so it's it's great to see their reaction because they don't realize that they don't realize how awesome our tools are until they use it. But once they do, they're like, wow, I didn't know this was possible. So something as simple as, hey, I got some money sent to me and I want to know where it came from, to see if it potentially came from, a bad actor. It's so simple to do. And or like being able to see your own activity. I think that's been one of the best reactions. So like as an individual user, being able to see everything I've done on the blockchain, visually, it's also empowering because they can now know that, hey, this is publicly accessible. Everyone can see all the actions that I've taken on the blockchain. And they may determine, hey, some of this is riskier, they don't want to do it, or this makes sense, they want to continue doing it. I think one of the key insights we got is a lot of the people, regular users, don't know that actually everything that they do is publicly accessible. And it's just that it's presented in a complex way, but with tools like what we're building, it simplifies being able to see what anyone does on the blockchain, to a point where it enforces users to be more secure, and more thoughtful about their actions on the Web3 space.
Both super important. Yeah, more secure and maybe more intentional. That basically basing their actions on data, on facts. By the way, is your market Canada, or I assume it is global?
Yeah, everybody. We have users from all over the world currently using our platform, from Singapore to North America to Africa.
But you are a Canadian company. You are in the Canadian space. You are Canadian, and I know you'll be at the Blockchain Futurist conference with us in a few weeks, uh, perhaps around the time this interview comes out. What is your sense of the Canadian blockchain market, and broadly speaking, since you come from tech, the tech market, in terms of especially technology adoption and innovation?
The Canadian, so we've built a whole team out in Toronto, and I think it's one of the best places to start off building in the Web3 crypto space. The main reason being, Toronto and Canada has a tight-knit community of individuals who show up over and over again. Over the last year and a half of building out Blockscope here, in Canada, we've made so many long-term partners, and just other teams in Canada that are building in this space. The second thing is there's very high quality. So it's not like people are just building the next thing that has hype around it, but people are building foundational technologies. Like one of the core pieces of software, used by everybody in this space is maintained by, a small team just down the street from us, right? And that's great to see. So I think being in an ecosystem where there's a lot of high quality individuals building valuable long term projects has been one of the most impactful and rewarding things to be a part of.
Mm. And on the consumer side, how do you gauge the adoption of blockchain in Canada compared to other markets where you're operating? And when I say consumer, I realize you're a B2B company, but I'm curious what your view is and if you're watching any specific trends, for example, in Canada.
Yeah, over the past few years, Canadian regulators have doubled down and asked companies and marketplaces to follow the guidelines they've set or stop operations. Now, there are pros and cons to these decisions. The main advantage being that these rules prevent regular users, consumers, from losing a lot of money to speculative assets or scams or frauds. And I think today that has actually um, directly reduced how involved Canadians are. I think in the past there were a lot more people interacting with the Web3 space, but I think it's being set up so in the next wave, Canadians are more secure and can interact with assets by companies that are compliant with rules and regulations set up by the Canadian government. Um, I think the downside to this is putting these constraints uh, to secure individuals is it leaves Canada and Canadians behind in an industry that it was vital in founding. But the upside is it protects the consumers. So I think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's always that balance, of course, between consumer protection and promoting innovation and
Exactly.
entrepreneurship. By the way, to our audience, Canadian or global, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to give us a like, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell so you get notified. We have a lot of great videos coming up, this one included, of course, that you're already watching, but it really helps us a lot. So thanks a lot for watching along, and let's get back into this interview. So Adit, let's talk about Blockscope again a little bit before we wrap up. You've been working on this platform for about a year and a half, 2 years now. As we said earlier, it's both very quick and at the same time a very long time in this blockchain space. And starting a business, building a business is hard in the best of times for any industry. And I know what we're talking about here, being an entrepreneur myself. But I'm curious to know what's the most unexpected situations or realizations have been for you along the way so far?
Yeah, so I think while building the tools that we've built, we had in our heads an idea of how users would use the platform. And after actually exposing it and seeing that users are interacting with the tools we built in completely other new ways that we hadn't thought of, that has been very rewarding. I think one of the most unexpected or surprising use case for us was how many individuals were able to use one of our monitoring tools called WatchTowers. So this tool was built to be able to let regular users get notified when specific on-chain events happen, like an NFT mint or funds being moved to specific accounts or out of accounts or any contracts function being hit. Um, a clever use case that I've seen an individual take for who trades in DeFi is monitoring Uniswap pool creation. And our tools let this individual who was non-technical be able to set that up for himself or herself. And they don't need that barrier that was blocking them before was being able to code. They don't need that ability anymore. They could just come in, point and click, and set up what they care to listen for on the blockchain. And anytime something happens, we deliver that information to them, and they could decide to take actions in terms of if they want to trade or change their positions. So I thought that was a very unexpected and surprising use case.
Yeah, and that's quite exciting, of course, because it's positive. So, and now as we wrap up, I want to ask you a couple of questions about the future, basically. The first one about Blockscope. So, what's on your sort of agenda right now? I know you'll be at Futurist, and I'm sure you're going to do a lot of other events and presentations. Where are you at, basically, with the business, and what are the next steps?
Yeah, so we have actually been in beta for the last while. We're releasing our platform publicly, so anyone can now go to blockscope.co, sign up, and use our tools. They're all free to use to get started with, so I encourage that. And yeah, I'll be speaking at Futurist, demoing what we've built out. We're really excited. We've built a lot of the tools for Ethereum and EVM chains. We're going to be expanding that to be many different chains that are growing in this space. And yeah, we're growing our team, building, and it's been great so far.
Really, really exciting. And now to pull back a little bit from just Blockscope, looking at the industry, what are some of your personal opinions on blockchain and on cryptos. What are some of your favorite projects maybe that you're most excited about for the future?
Yeah, I love two kinds of projects. One that generates valuable insight. Blockchain is basically a massive publicly available data set, and there are many ways you could get clever insights out of this. Um, and two is projects that are intuitive and usable. Now, these two things are actually key principles that drive Blockscope, and that's how we've been building our platform. Is like make intuitive, usable tools that generate valuable insights. However, if I were to think about a company that's not Blockscope, I think I have a deep appreciation for fully on-chain protocols. So by that, I mean there's a lot of companies building in this space, but they're not fully decentralized. Um, and then there are this whole set of other challenging protocols. I wouldn't say challenging protocols, but fully on-chain protocols that are much more challenging to build. And I know this because we've tried to do a fully on-chain protocol. And so I really like decentralized finance applications that are fully on the blockchain.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, DeFi is a huge part of blockchain. I mean, it's a huge addressable market, right? Because we're talking about finance, disrupting finance, right? Which I think is a multi-$100 trillion industry. So very, very exciting.
One more thing to add to that. I think DeFi is probably one of the best use cases of Web3 technology right now. There are a lot of different applications and ideas that are trying to fit and force decentralizations and Web3 into this space, into their app, but DeFi is clearly a perfect fit for that.
Great. Well, I could see that being a quote on our video and maybe on social media as well. And finally, we ask all of our interviewees what is or what are their most confident predictions for Bitcoin, for crypto, for Web3 in the coming years. So what is yours or what are yours?
Yeah, I think there will obviously be another Bitcoin bull run, which will help bring the whole market back up. Right now, we're seeing a lot more increased institutional adoption. So I think traditional enterprises, traditional banks, they've already started getting into this space. I think they'll double down. And what that will bring is a lot more consumer and mass adoption. And lastly, when mass adoption happens, to make sure users are empowered, companies like ourselves that are building really useful tools for the regular users, or institutions or startups, it's going to be needed. So yeah, those three things: Bitcoin bull run, increased institutional adoption, and more consumers coming into this space, needing and wanting tools like that we're building.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Really appreciate it. And of course, you provide these predictions with quite a lot of data backing what you're saying, because you are at the front row of this information. Thanks, Adit. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you. I really enjoyed the conversation, and it was about time. We've been trying to do this for a little while. Where can people find you, by the way? Where would you like us to link to in the video?
Yeah, people can find more about Blockscope at blockscope.co, and follow myself on Twitter at Adit Patel 14.
Perfect. And I think you're also on LinkedIn and posting in various places. So yes, make sure to follow Adit. Really, really interesting Canadian startup in the blockchain space, providing very valuable analytics. So really encourage people to go check it out. And thank you to our audience for watching. Again, if you enjoyed the interview, you know what to do. Give us a like, follow the channel, hit the notification bell. You can find us on almost every social media platform. We publish news roundups on Monday, articles every Friday. Our latest one just came out looking at crypto, or more specifically Bitcoin and ESG, based on a latest report by KPMG. Really interesting article. And yeah, we hope you enjoyed this interview. If you have any questions or comments for myself or for Adit, like any of our speakers, put them in the comments or contact us on the social media platforms you can find us on. Again, thanks a lot for watching. Adit, real pleasure to have you on the show. Good luck with Blockscope, and stay well, everybody. See you around.
Thank you so much for having me.